Hello everybody and welcome to SolidCode. In this series tutorials we are going to implement the We Play Tanks minigame. We are going to implement it in Unity, and on this video we are going to do the first level. So as you can see, basically it's a really simple level. There is a scenario and there's a player, some bullets, and the enemy. So we are going to code that. First we start going to our Unity hub, and I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to disconnect it from Unity Cloud, and I will make sure that I'm using the latest version, and I'm going to name it We Play Tanks, and I'm going to choose as template the 3D built in, and I'm going to create the project. Once the project is successfully created, we are going to have a project like this. We are going to click on the scene, and first we are going to start creating the platform where the game will happen. So we are going to create a new 3D object, a plane. It will be that object, and for now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it on X 1.18 and on Z 2.25, and now we have like the platform or the floor of our game. Another thing I want to do is to take a look to where the camera is and what the camera is actually seeing. So as we can see, if we go here, we have this view, right? But the game, it is looking from the upside to the floor. So we are going to change that. So what we will do is the following. First, I'm going to put the C in 0 and the Y on 12, and as we can see now it is up, right? But if we see, the view is looking at the sky because it is looking in that direction. So what we need to do is change the rotation, and I think there is better. And see, now we can see from the upside, we can see the floor. So that looks way better. Another thing we need to do is to improve the vision of our scene, the editing scene. You can do it by clicking here and find the position that you most like. This is important because we will be adding elements in here, so it is important to work in a way that is easier for us. But in the game, we will see the platform in this way, right? So the other thing that we need to do is we are going to rename this maybe as platform, and what I'm going to do is add the walls in order to create like the full platform, right? So we do that by adding new 3D objects, and we are going to use cubes. And for example, I'm going to do one wall. So what I'm going to do is put everything on 0, but on Y we will have to use like 0.2 maybe, in order so it is upside, or it looks like it is out of the floor. As we can see, there is a little bit under the floor, so let's use 0.45 maybe, or 0.5. I think there it looks better. So what we want to do is to scale this thing so it is more wide, maybe there. And what we can do now is move it in this direction, and that will be our wall for that side. So what I'm going to do now is take a look at the edges, and it looks like it is looking good. If I go here, I see that it looks fine. Maybe I will move it a little bit more, maybe something like that. And also I'm going to scale it, and I'm going to make them a little bit thinner. or skinnier. And I think the wall is there and it looks good. And I'm going to rename this as wall. And I'm going to copy this and I will make it as a child of platform, maybe there. And what I'm going to do is rename it as wall 2 just for a moment. And we can do this right here and we have those walls. And I will do the same for the other ones, but I will pause the video. Before doing that, I will start working with prefabs because we are going to have or to need a lot of walls, so it's better to work as prefabs. So I'm going to create a prefab folder, prefabs, and I'm going to make the wall as a prefab. So I'm going to drop it here, and as we can see now it is a prefab, right? I'm going to delete the previous one. And what I'm going to do here is to edit everything that is general to a wall. So for example, as we can see now, we have the box collider, which is good because we are going to need it because the tanks will be colliding with the walls. And now what we can do is to add more walls to the platform. So as we can see, we have that one there, and now yeah, we move it, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other two walls. There we have the full scenario. As we can see, now we have 4 walls, right? And another thing that I want to do is, for example, in this wall, if I check on the collider is the size of the wall. That is important, and it is working as expected. So we are good with this. If we go to the game, we will have this view, which is right. And right now what I want to do is to add a package in order to add some texture to the field in order to see it differently. For that, we will go to the asset store, the Unity asset store. I already have it imported. I'm going to use this one because it's really a small package and I just need a really simple textures. And I'm going to, if you don't have it, what you can do is go to the asset. As you can see, it's free and you just have to import it to your Unity asset store. In this case, I already have it imported, so I just click on open in Unity, open Unity editor. And that will open this view where we have all the packages that we have added to our Unity asset store. And in this case, what I need is this one, and I'm going to import it. In here, I will uncheck this demo because I don't need it. And what I need is the materials. So what we can do is that, and click on import. And now it is imported in our project, and if we go here to this third party, we will see it, and here are the materials. In this case, I will use the standards because this project is really simple, and I'm going to click maybe this one black, and I'll go to the scene, and I will drag and drop it there. And as we can see now, that is our floor, and it's easier to see it. And I'm going to clear here the console, those errors, and now we have that right there. And the next thing that we will do is the obstacles. So for that specific scenario, we can also use walls. So I'm going to go here to my project, and on the prefab I'm going to add another wall right here. And what I'm going to do is to move it right here, maybe here. And I'm going to scale it I'm going to scale it maybe something like that. I need to rotate it as well in this direction, and I'm going to move it maybe in here. I'm going to scale it more, so we can see now it looks like that in our scenario. I'll move it more. Here in the rotation I'm going to use -90, so it looks perfectly in place. There it looks good, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to add it as well. I want here, and I'm going to move it here. It looks that way. I need to scale it a little bit more. Maybe something like that. And I will have to add another one, like right here maybe. There we have the scenario, and now what we need to do is to implement the tank. We're going to implement the movement of the tank or the main player first. So what we need to do first is to create a cube, and we are going to name it tank for now. And we are going to make it a prefab because we will need this more than one time. So there we have our tank. I'm going to change the position to 0, 0. Let's put a 0 as well for now. And I'm going to move it right here, and maybe something like that. Something that I want to do very early with this is to use a very different material so we can see it different since the beginning. So this green box will be our tank, right? So first we are going to model our tank. First we need to make it smaller, so I'm going to use like a 0.55, 0.35, and 0.85. So now it looks like that, right? And we need to do like the gang, or the piece that projectiles the bullets of the tank. So what we are going to do is go to the prefab, and what we will do here is to add let's try with a cylinder first. So we have that cylinder, so we can see it, we have it there, and we are going to use the same scale for now, and 0.85. So we see it there. I'm going to make the camera more in here, more close to this, and what we need to do now is to rotate it. So this is a degree that we are moving, so that means we need a -90 there, and I'm going to move it more so it looks like it is part of the tank, maybe something like that. I will check how that looks. I like how it looks, and I'm going to add another color of material here, maybe something like that, and it looks good. So basically that is our tank, and what we need to do here is to, here in added game object, apply to the prefab, because that is part of the prefab, and we are going to name it gun. So we have modeled our very basic tank, and let's see what else do we need. As we can see now, the tank is floating, right? We don't want that, so we are going to move it there, and maybe there. It looks better. So there we have it, and now we need to model the behavior of the tank. We're going to code the movement. So we go to our prefab, and first here in assets we are going to create a folder, and we are going to name it scripts, and in scripts, we are going to create a new C# script, and it will be the tank player script. And in here we are going to code the behavior of the tank. Here in our script, what we need to do is first add two really important attributes to our movement, and those will be the move speed and the rotation speed. Second, we will go to the update function, and we are going to paste a really basic behavior of movement that is available in all of these type of games. Basically, we will get the horizontal and vertical input from the library input get axis. What we are going to do next is to calculate the movement direction, creating a new vector with those inputs, the horizontal and the vertical that we get from the keyboard. We are going to make it normalized. That is very important. After that, we are going to apply that translate function, where that movement direction will be multiplied by the movement speed and the time delta time. After that, we need to do the rotation based on the mouse position. So what we are going to do is follow the mouse, and the tank will follow the rotation of the mouse. This is from this part. Later, what we need to do is to get the mouse position from the camera screen to world point function, and we are going to create a future direction. That direction will help us to have the rotation that we need to do for our transform object. So basically, and we need to use this one as well to make it smooth. So let's see how that works. If we go back to Unity, to our prefab, we go to our tank, and we are going to add the component of the new script, tank player, and let's see how it goes. After adding the script, I'm finding an error that is important that occurs so we can understand. As we can see, the tank is rotating in the opposite direction to the mouse. Also, if I press the W key, it's going backwards and not upwards. So it looks like the controllers are upside or in reverse, but that is not the problem. What we need to do is go to the scene and change the orientation of the tank. For example, what I did here is to add the gun in here, but what we really need to do is to put it here, so that will be like the face of the tank, and the tank, the whole object, we need to rotate it to 180 so it goes in that direction, and now it should work with our controllers. And as you can see, now it follows the mouse and it moves in the right directions that I want. So as we can see, we implement in this way. This movement is really connected to the orientation, so that is really important because we will implement bullets that collides with the walls, and that changes the direction of the bullet. So we have a really good movement, and I think it's also a fun movement to have. Also, for example, if I go here and move the mouse quickly, the tank will change the orientation. So that is really important for the game mechanics. Right now, another thing that we need to implement first is the collisions. As we can see now, we can go after or trespass the walls, and that's not something we want. So what we need to do is go to the tank, and we are going to add a rigid body. So this will apply physics to our tank, and there is some constraints that we need. For example, for this game, the tank does not move in the y direction. I mean, for example, doing something like this is not possible, right, in this game. So we are going to freeze that, and for now we're also going to freeze the rotation, and it will look like this. When the tank goes to the wall, it collides and it cannot advance, and that's what we want. For now, I'm going to add another tank, but I will call it enemy, and for now it will be a really dummy. As you can see here, it imported differently, so let me change that. I will go to the tank. Here in the prefab, if we see it, we have that previous way of the tank, that is the box is taller, but we want this. The thing is that we need to do here in transform, click on modified component and apply everything to the prefab. Same way with the rigid body as well, because we want all our tanks to have that. Okay, now we have it, and if we drag and drop here, we have that tank in a different way. So now I'm gonna rename it. That will be the first enemy of the level, and I will rotate it, and as we can see, it's minus 180, what we need, and in the Y position maybe a 0, or we can copy it from this 0.164, and I'm going to move it right here, and I'm going to use another color. Let's use this red one there. So if we go there, we can see the enemy there. And something important is that for this enemy only, we need to remove the script for now, because the behavior of the enemy is different. So I'm going to remove it, and that enemy won't have the script. So when I start the game, that tank will not move for now. So now let's start coding the bullet. Let's create a 3D object, and we are going to use a sphere, and that will be the bullet. We also need to make it a prefab, and we click here, and we are going to scale it. So there we have it. We have to use a scale of 0.2, and we have this sphere collider colliding with or surrounding the whole area of the bullet. So that's our bullet for now. And for that bullet, we also need to create a new script, and we will implement the behavior of the bullet. Before that, it is also important to add a rigid body to the bullet, and we also need to freeze the position on Y and freeze the rotations for now. Actually, for the bullet, for now, let's only freeze it on Y, because we need to implement the behavior that it rotates when it collides with the walls in order to do that bouncing in a better way. Another thing that we will need is that the collider is a trigger, because first we do not want to interact the tank's physics with the bullet physics. What we want to do is that when a bullet collides with the tank, it destroys the tank. So for now, let's put it as isTrigger. Now in our script, we are going to have for now 3 important attributes: the movement speed of the bullet, the destination is going to be a vector. So what we want to do is first set an initial destination to the bullet, but the things that are in the scenario will affect that destination. For example, the walls. If a player wants to click on a wall trying to shoot the ball there, after that the wall will bounce or will reflect that bullet. We need a very important attribute in order to get to our rigid body, and in our start function we are going to first get the rigid body, and after that we're going to change the velocity. We are going to do a subtraction about the destination minus our current position, we are going to normalize that vector and we'll multiply it by the move speed. So at the beginning, our velocity will try to go to that specific point. For now, we do not need anything on our update function. So basically what we want to do is that every time the tank clicks on the screen, it will shoot a bullet in that direction. So what we need to do is to initialize the behavior of the bullet in our tank function. So we will do it in the following way. We are going to need a reference to the bullet prefab. This is very important because in here we are going to initialize new bullets. So we need that reference right here. And after we get all this information in order to do a movement, now we need to shoot in the direction where the mouse currently is, right? So we will do the following. If we detect a click in any direction, we are going to create a new vector that will be the future position of the bullet, which is equal to the input mouse position. After that, on the CX axis, we are going to change that into the position in Y of the main camera. That will be our final destination after we apply the screen to world point function, which is a unity function, and we will get the vector where we want to shoot our bullet. So the bullet will try to go there. For example, if we try to shoot here, if we click here, the bullet will have to go here in this direction, then it will go after that, it will do a reflection of the vector and it will get a new direction. So the bullet future position, initial future position, will depend on the click. That's what we are implementing there. Now we need to implement this shoot bullet function. Since we do not have it, I'm going to implement it. And it's a very basic one. Basically, we will receive as parameter a vector tree with the final destination, and we are going to get the reference to the gun of our tank. Here we are getting a reference to the object gun because we want that the new position, it takes the X position of that gun, the current Y position of the whole tank, not the gun, but the Z position we want it as well as the gun child from the gun. This is in order that the bullet looks like it is going out from the gun. Sorry. With that, we create a new temporary bullet. With that information, we need to send the reference to the bullet prefab, and we created with this new vector as the position and the rotation of the gun. This is really important because we want that the bullet looks like it is going out from the gun and not from the tank or the base of the tank itself. And we need to set the new destination of our bullet, and we are going to activate our bullet because at the beginning our bullet will be deactivated. So with that, we need to go again to our bullet script and implement these two functions. And here we have the functions. We have really basic functions in order to set the active, the destination, and we are going to have a get in order to get the destination as well. And now we should be able to shoot the bullets. Now let's go to Unity, and in here what we need to do first, I'm going to remove this bullet because we do not need it now. Here in the scene, the bullets will appear once the tank shoots, not at the beginning. And so let's delete it, and in here if I go to the bullet prefab, I need to add the component of the script of the bullet, and in here I can see now the script with the movement speed. So let's see. I forgot a very important thing. We have to go to our tank, and in here in the script we need to add a reference to our bullet prefab, otherwise it will show this error. So we go to the prefabs and we drag and drop here, and let's see if now it works. So now we have our game shooting bullets, but as you can see the bullets do not are affected by collisions yet, but the initial destination looks good. That is important. So let's find out why the collisions are not working. Or were not working because I had this is trigger checked. So if I uncheck it, the bullet collision, sorry, the bullet sphere collider will not work as an is trigger. So now it collides, but as you can see, basically it collides very differently from what we need. But what we are going to do first is that we are going to keep it as is trigger. So at the beginning, what we do not want is to shoot the bullet, and if the tank is really close and also moving in that direction, will collide with the tank and it will affect the tank's physics. So that's why we are going to leave it as an is trigger, and once the bullet is already shooted, so maybe like for example if we shoot it here and maybe it's here, we are going to deactivate that is trigger function. And the other thing that we need is to add a physics material to that bullet. I'm going to do that first. I will create a new folder called materials, and I need to create a new material. Here, physics material, and I need to add some bounciness to this. For now, I will add a 1, and the dynamic friction and the static friction will be 0 for now. And I'm going to rename it as bullet material. Now I need to go to the bullet, and here in the sphere collider we can see a space for materials, right? I'm going to drag and drop it there. After that, if I deactivate as well the is trigger, now the ball should bounce, right, the bullet. But as we can see, it is really a little bit different from what we need, but at least the bounciness is working. What I will do here is activate it again, and I will go to the script to do this deactivation automatically in the script. For that, it's really simple. We just do an invoke function of this disable trigger collider after 0.05 seconds after the start function, and it will go here and it will get the component, the collider, and it will deactivate the is trigger. So that will do for us what we need. Now we will add two more attributes, which is going to be we are only going to allow 3 collisions on the walls. After that the bullet will disappear, and also we need to change the movement speed. We need to make it faster because right now the bullet is really slow. So after that, what we need to do is implement our onCollisionEnter function, that it will look something like this. If we collide with a game object named wall, any wall, you just need to make sure that the name of every wall is wall, right? If that happens, we are going to get the contact points of that collision, and we are going to do a vector projection. If you go to the Unity documentation, you can see how this works, but basically it's like a really simple vector projection that we do in math or in algebra. After that, we are going to multiply that direction, the movement and speed, and we are going to add a force to that rigid body so it moves in that new vector projected path. we are going to update the current collisions, and if we have collide more than 3 times, we are going to destroy the bullet. The other way that we destroy the bullet is when we collide with an enemy or our tank, because a bullet that the tank itself or the player um, collides shoots, sorry, it can also kill him in the game. So actually here is tank player. I think I name it like that. Let me check. No, the name is just tank, so we can keep it like that. Okay, so now let's try this. And as we can see, it's shooting there, and in the third collision should disappear. So yeah, now it's working like it should work. So that's great. And now we are going to implement a basic AI for the enemy tank, which is really similar to the video that I uploaded recently where I used the nav mesh agent. So I'm going to do it really quick in here because the previous video explains it a little better. So let's make it a little bit faster in here. For that, I will go to the scripts and create a new one called enemy. And what I will do now is to add the nav mesh things that we need. If I go to window, I don't see the AI packages, so I need to import them. So I go to package manager, Unity registry, and I will search for nav AI navigation, and I'm going to install it. Now it is installed, and if I go to window, I have here the AI, and I'm going to add a navigation, and I can see only these two areas, right? So that's fine. And for the platform, I'm going to add a new object, and I'm going to name it nav mesh surface. And here I will add a nav mesh surface. So if I go to the scene and I go here and I click on bake, this should bake the scene, the nav mesh scene. So as you can see, basically it baked, and it is understanding where the walls are, so those areas will, the nav mesh agent will avoid them. So that looks cool. We have now the nav mesh surface, and now we need to go to the enemy, just to the enemy, and we are going to add a new nav mesh agent, which is going to be humanoid, and we don't need that much of a quality for this type of game, and the rest we will leave it like that. And also now we will implement our enemy script. The enemy script is something I explained on the latest video. Basically, here we have the same move, rotation speed, and a shot interval. We are going to shot for now every 3.5 seconds a bullet. We will change that in the next video where we will code a more intelligent AI. And the most important thing is that we need a reference to the destination that we want this nav mesh agent to go. That will be the main player. So this enemy will follow the main player. We have a reference to our nav mesh agent. And basically what we do is in the start function we get that reference to our nav mesh agent, and we start a coroutine in order to shoot every 3.5 seconds. And in our update function, if we have the destination set, we basically tell our nav mesh agent to go to that destination. This is what is making the enemy to follow the tank, the main player. The shoot is really simple. Basically it just shoots a bullet every 3.5 seconds, and it restarts, or it calls again the coroutine. So it's like a recursive call. Here is the shoot, and on the collision enter, if it collides with a bullet, we will destroy the enemy. So let's see how it works. It is important here in the enemy object you need to add the script, and on the destination we are going to drag and drop the tank, the main tank, the player, and on the bullet prefab we do the same thing that we did earlier in the video. Now, as we can see, this tank is following the green one, but when it shoots it's not happening anything, so that's because we need to fix something. Here in the prefabs, we need for the bullet to add a new tag. We are going to create a tag and call it bullet. This needs to apply to the whole prefab. Let me double check that it has it. So there we go. And in our scripts we have to add on collision enter to the tag. So when the tag player collides with the bullet, it destroys it. Same for the enemy. Now let's try it. And let's see, now the tank is following us, and there, let's see. Now let's see, the tank is following us and it destroys us. That is working as expected. Now let's see if we can destroy the tank first. You can play with the speeds as well to make a better game. For now I will leave it like that, but it is working as we expected. So for now, let's leave this level in here. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, and in the next video we will implement a more intelligent AI, and we will try to fully replicate the game, specifically the most difficult levels where the tanks are really smart, the enemies specifically. So thanks for watching, please subscribe, and if you like this kind of content, give us a like. That will help us a lot. See you next time. Bye.